And welcome back to the channel. Now, we left you in the last episode leaving a campsite just west of Ross Cree. So in this episode...
None of this is my fault, by the way.
For me, less is more, but it's such a powerful place.
Grim, if you ask me.
Quite sobering.
I felt its lights were pointing at us, so I poked my head out and they were. Welcome to GetawayGeese. We are Stu and Jane, and with Harry, our Ford custom auto camper, we share our adventures. So join us in this Our Rough Guide series to campervanning in Ireland. And we really appreciate if you like our channel to please give us a like and hit that subscribe button. It's free and it really helps us grow. So today we're in a bit of a brighter mood, having rested ourselves with showers and a good night's sleep. So the first thing on our list today is that we need some provisions. And I am absolutely determined to try and get that cake that I should have got many days ago. And I really have a vision in my head of what I want. But despite the lovely pastries they had, I once again failed to find one.
None of this is my fault, by the way. Don't stop blaming me.
And now we're going to a centre.
All because the lady loves a sponge cake. What's it got? Victoria sponge cake she wants. She's got a craving for Victoria sponge cake. Well,
we are on our third
I
supermarket.
feel as though I'm obliged to.
I sort of feel bad about going to a museum about poverty and famine, and I'm stuffing my bloody face.
So now we're trekking across country in the direction of Rosslare, where we need to catch our ferry in a few days' time. And we're calling in at various attractions along the way. And I've seen a famine museum at a place called Donaghmore. It's really empty when we get here, and it looks like we're the only people visiting today.
It's not open. Oh, it's locked. I don't think it's open.
And having booked into the reception, it becomes obvious that this location is very much still in its infancy of restoration.
As ever, it's about the story, isn't it?
Yeah, always about the story.
Always about the story.
We've just been to the Donaghmore Workhouse and Agricultural Museum that, for me, less is more. It's probably, I would say, the best one that, you know, of all the castles and museums we've been to, this has got the least. I mean, it's literally empty, cold rooms, but it's such a powerful place. You get a little guided tour. The lady that showed us around was so knowledgeable, and it just really brings home what suffering they must have gone through during the famine, and how awful workhouses are. And
We first get shown to the school area. Now, this is a temporary room where you see a short video.
Ireland's damp, mild climate provided the perfect conditions for the disease.
And it gives you the context of the famine and all the workhouses over Ireland. And the fact that it became overpopulated with people at the height of the famine. And various information boards tell you about the basic life that they had. And then there were real people's stories that were told, bringing a sense to the struggles that they had. Emigration was sometimes the only way out, with the failure of the poor law, which led to the closure of the workhouses and many that were repurposed.
it was quite touching, you know, it was really moving, I must say. It was,
Yeah, and we were just saying that the workhouse side of it was quite a big site, and they were hoping to get a grant. So there would have been 7 parts. The boys here on the right, girls on the left, dining room, but they never mixed. They were brought in. There would have been a central area here for like a receptional area. It's now been removed. The women and the men were separated. And then there was infirmary. And at the back there's the graveyard. And they haven't got the men's and women's home, it's all derelict. And even the one this side, it probably needs some work to it, but I think they've got to be careful they don't. Actually, one of the things that made it atmospheric was it was cold and it was empty, and it just made you think.
And we made our way around this really atmospheric location. And a single dummy depicting lines of boys, in this case sleeping, really played with our emotions as parents.
So that's the men's quarter. It's derelict at the moment. There's the dining area, and each building could get to it, but they were always kept separate. That's being done up recently. And beyond that, you can see the roof of the women's quarter, the same as the men's quarter. Again, it's derelict at the moment. So this was the detention area for anybody the boys that's in trouble or problematic. So they would have been locked in here and dealt with at an appropriate time. So the master's quarters would have been quite apparently a sought after occupation for a married couple to come and look after either the men's side or the women's side. And they had their own area, quite the centre part of between the boys and the women's side. There would have been a main part for where they would have lived. So they had a fire, plastered walls, a bit more insulation, warmer. Their own bedrooms, offices, etc. So that was apparently a good job to have at the time, but grim, if you ask me. I mean, their role would have been to look after the boys or the girls, the upkeep, the management of it, to make sure it was as it was, or it was being run as it should be. I guess that's what they would have been doing. So they had their own staircase, entrance, hallway that would have led obviously to their parlour area and their own bedroom area, etc. So in a way, they had their sort of own self-contained house part. These are all the original floorboards and staircase apparently, which is amazing. So this was the master's day room. Apparently there was a doctor here, but he only lasted 7 months because he unfortunately caught, I think it was typhoid, that was obviously prevalent at the time with all the conditions. So one of the tour guides that was showing us around originally, this is an original painting, photograph of here. It was taken from a house of the period. And she was working here, and one day they took it down and looked at the back of it, and it was actually a relation of hers on her side of the family.
Original floorboards, wasn't there? In the staircase.
About the suffering, and she just brought to life a couple of artefacts. It was like the coffin bearers thing we saw, and there was a few little things in there she just mentioned. It was just like, oh, right, wow. So the master would have had people working for him, some women, as providing for them for cooking and cleaning, I guess. And this is a bit grim, really. This is a scullery. But that object there is actually a coffin bearer. They couldn't afford a coffin for each individual, so they used to put them in a single coffin where the bottom of the coffin would undo at the bottom, and the body would go out into basically a pit at the back. Apparently the handles are quite worn for obvious reasons. Many deaths in the workplace would have occurred. So that's the women's quarters there. That's to the left of the dining room in the centre there.
The central dining area has already been restored, and it's actually being used for various functions.
This would have been the main dining area. That's the old kitchen area there.
And the other part of the museum is very much reconnected to agriculture with lots of old artefacts.
It was apparently a butter churn. The location was turned after being a poorhouse. It turned into a creamery.
the workhouse became a central place for a local cooperative being set up, with butter production being the most dominant.
It's an incubator for chicks' eggs.
And Stu absolutely loves all the old tools on display.
Yeah, it's really moving.
So definitely a place to come to, but again, there was a video to start, and I think that's one of the things we've learned.
Yeah.
A lot of places have videos just to put the context to it.
Yeah, if you get a chance to go, don't miss it.
And it was in a cold, open area, to be honest, but we
Yeah.
sat there gripped to the video, which was 5-10
Yeah.
minutes long, that's all, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely give it a
Yeah, it was
give it a go.
amazing. Quite sobering.
And so we move on, and we're in a really reflective mood as the workhouse side really got to us. So we're now continuing to head southwest, and Stu has a park for night location targeted. And the peaceful drive in the sun really fitted in nicely to how we were feeling.
Turn left now, and then your destination is ahead on the right.
Now this is a car park come lay-by, and it may be a little noisier than what we're used to, but we've decided that we've just got to get used to this type of parkup. Now we're right by the side of the River Barrow and the Milford Weir and Mill. Milford Mills is an 18th century watermill, originally built as a flour and malting house. And unfortunately there was a tragic accident on the 4th of November in 1862, where it was totally destroyed by fire. However, it has an even more interesting twist, where we found out that it became a hydroelectric power station in 1891, and that the local town of Carlow became the first inland town in Ireland or Britain to be powered this way. And we've often seen as we go round these stones with messages, and this one is so true. And this one, the answer is yes, generally.
Vanilla slice, I presume they are. Yeah, vanilla slices, proper ones.
Because you like those.
Because I like those, but that wasn't the mission. The mission was to go and get. We'll have to do that tomorrow.
Maybe that's tomorrow's cake. So these may look small. Stu, pick one up.
I can't now. Okay.
They are absolutely massive.
Oh my god.
Do you want us?
I'm going to wear it. Hang on, I'm going to wear this one. There we go. Oh, I can already taste the icing on that. It tastes nice. But unfortunately, she failed on her own mission. I don't know why she failed, because she picked one up and she put it down.
I know.
What was all that about?
I'm so indecisive.
So she came back with these. So we'll have to go on another mission tomorrow, and I'll have to go and do it because she's not going to do it.
And what's bad is we're having these before tea.
We're having afternoon tea.
Afternoon tea. Well,
Look, it's the end of the trip. We're just celebrating. by eating a lot.
Yeah. And the coffee trailer is being set up.
The generator. First customers of the day. Well, we had 2 hot chocolates, 3 euros 50 with all the works, marshmallows, cream, all the healthy stuff.
Now this tractor and trailer parked right next to us and some serious gas is being used. And we then realised that they were filling potholes.
But we had a lovely hot chocolate from the...
We did. It was
complete with everything. You name it, it was
I
on.
asked for the works.
And we got the works. We might not have lunch now. Going for a walk, and I have to do my mum's Waitrose shop.
I'm sure they'll be interested in that.
I know you're interested in that. Last full day in Ireland. Homeward bound, we've just been keeping our eye on the ferry because they've been cancelled a couple of times.
So we parked. It was quite a busy road actually. It's quite a thoroughfare through here, but it was all right to be perfectly honest. It was set back enough. It was on a beautiful river, the River Barrow. Probably one of the noisier parkups we've had. Went a bit cold last night, I have to say. Didn't sleep brilliantly. Took us ages to get to sleep.
I've got toothache, so that's not the best time to. But we had a van pull up. I don't know, Stu, were you asleep?
I was aware of a few vehicles pulling up and driving off. It's one of those places.
I felt its lights were pointing at us, so I poked my head out, and they were. But they were literally here for like 5 minutes with the engine running, and
you always think it's worse.
Yeah, you do. For some reason, you always think they're worse.
And we're off ski. Are we clear?
Clear.
Well, we're going to leave it here, where we have an exciting day ahead of us and a surprise revisit to a location in the next episode. So please join us.
Dee 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 dee.
So thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video then help us grow the channel by subscribing, liking and commenting.
And we'll hopefully see you in the next episode of Our Travels in Harry.